Today, I'm just going to give you an introduction to the QPR curriculum. It will not be the entire curriculum itself. Actually, we can go through the entire curriculum within an hour, so I was hoping we could have added 30 extra minutes, and then at the end, you would have been QPR ambassadors. But this afternoon, I'm just going to give you an introduction of what it is, the importance of it, give you a little bit of data. So, I'll just tell you I had my own mental health moment today because I left all my notes. And I was driving down 40 going, are you serious? So excuse me if I have to keep checking back to see what slide we're on. Actually, I think I'm gonna turn this a little bit. That way, I'll be able to kind of keep up with the slides. So this is me. I'm actually a 20-year public health professional. Haven't done mental health that entire time, but public health professional. I've done research. Have been lucky enough to co-author a few things. I am certified instructor for adult mental health first aid as well as QPR. I am a graduate of Elizabeth City State University, North Carolina Central University, and A.T. Still University, where I received my doctorate of health science. I actually am a minister. I am associate minister at Lee's Chapel Missionary Baptist Church in Cedar Grove, which is in the northern part of Orange County, and I do a few other things too. So that's just a quick thing about me. You've already heard this morning, this afternoon, a lot about mental health, mental wellness, and so I just want to bring back to your attention that there are many different dimensions of us that can change and can cause sometimes our thoughts, our feelings to, shift. So according to the National Institutes of Mental Health, mental wellness includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being, and it affects how we think, feel, act, make choices, and relate to others. And so, of course, Harvard kind of got into, that's a little bit better. Harvard got in with it too and said mental wellness is marked by the feeling up to challenges of day-to-day life. And if you're having issues where you don't feel up to it, then we know that some type of mental shift is happening. When you're experiencing moments of pleasure and joy in activities or relationships, feeling satisfaction with life, experiencing positive emotions, having the resources to help cope with the circumstances you face. And so on the flip side of that, mental illness is a mental health condition that gets in the way of your thinking, relating to others, and day-to-day function. And so I'm sure you've heard a lot about that already, but I just wanted to kind of level set again of where we are and how we're going to move to the conversation of suicide. So a lot of times when things happen to us, we're like, okay, God, what are you doing? Where is God in this? And so why are these things happening to me? And it's a test of our faith. I'm a minister. I had to throw a little bit of that in there. So it's a test of our faith. And there are some people who are just now understanding that God cares about your mental health as well as your physical health, as well as your emotional health, financial health, spiritual health, your intellect, all those different parts of you. And so there's some people who that aren't always aware that when bad things happen, they blame God. They say, oh, why are you doing this to me? And all of that. And so sometimes that does come up in our mental health, and we're thinking like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't take this anymore. But we know, those of us who, I'm a Christian, so those of us who are, we know that God is in control, and we know that He loves us, He cares for us, and sometimes there are things we have to go through, but the great thing is that He is with us through all of it. So, next slide. So, it's important to know that faith communities actually have a role when it comes to mental health. Because a lot of times when things happen to us, a lot of times the first thing we do is go to the church. We'll go to our pastor, our priest, whoever the leadership is, or we'll talk to other leaders in the church or church members. So many times when people in crisis, they go to the church. And actually that's happening right now. We know that there's a crisis happening in terms of food supply and access. And there are a lot of churches that are working with pantries or have become pantries themselves to help pass out food. So when crisis comes, we go to the church, right? And so it's important to know that our churches, our temples, our mosques, all of our faith communities are available and accessible because we have a role, right? Because for many, the faith community, our churches, our mosques, they're our safe place. Now, unfortunately, that's not the case for everyone, but we want to believe that our church is our safe place and our safe space. So it's important to know in mental health, our faith communities do play a role. Next slide. So I want to tell you about a project that I'm currently working with. This is the Faith Project, Faith Alliance Intervention Towards Health Project. This is out of North Carolina Central University. And they have been partnering or reaching out to churches throughout this Durham, Orange, Wake area, just trying to bring the topic of mental health into churches to help open up that door to talk about it more, because not all churches actually talk about mental health. And so this is a project that they've been working on for the past, I want to say about 3 years. And so it's one that we're working on now with them, and I'm one of their instructors. And so the way we work, we have different trainings available. So 2 of the main trainings we have available, and I think it's on the next slide, but 2 of the trainings we mainly have available is mental health first aid and QPR. And so what happens is you get the training, and we connect you with some mental health resources and providers that are nearby, hopefully an ambassador to follow up with, and make referrals as needed. As of late, we've just been going around to different churches and doing QPR curriculum as well as mental health first aid curriculum. Now, I'll tell you, in terms of the slide, I have a PC. This is a Mac, so you're going to see some shifting. So, I didn't do it. So just let me give you an overview of the trainings. As I stated, we're doing adult mental health first aid, youth mental health first aid, as well as QPR, or question, persuade, and respond. And the focus specifically of mental health first aid is what we call ALGE. ALGE is the acronym that stands for Approach, Access, Assess for Risk of Suicide or Harm, and then Assist. The L is listen non-judgmentally. The G is give reassurance and information. The first E is to encourage appropriate professional help. And the last G is to encourage self-help and other support and strategies. And so ALGE is the main core of the mental health first aid curriculum. And of course, with question, persuade, refer, we want to question the individual's desire or intent regarding suicide, persuade that person to seek and accept help, and then refer that person for appropriate resources. So the importance, I just want to say, of the mental health first aid, you think about it in terms of if someone was in here now and they fell out, first thing we're going to think is, okay, who can do CPR, right? This is CPR within a mental health crisis. And so it's important for us to know, because we never know who's coming into our churches, who's coming into our neighborhoods, or even our own family members. We need to be able to recognize, okay, they might have something going on. Let me investigate, let me assess, let me try to encourage, let me help. I will tell you, for those of you who have not had an adult mental health first aid course yet, I'm actually doing one tomorrow at Lee's Chapel in Cedar Grove. It's not even that far from here. Like I said, it's northern Orange County. And I would love for any of you to be able to participate. It is free of charge, and that's the other great thing. Through the Faith Project, right now they have some grant funding, and we know grant funding is going away quickly, but they have grant funding for us to provide these sessions and these courses, and so it's no cost to you. We'll have some coffee there for you at 9 o'clock in the morning, some Danishes, and you'll also get lunch. So, and you come out certified in adult mental health first aid. It is mainly all day. It is about 9 to 4. But again, we will feed you. And the reason it's so long is because we go over a lot of information, some of which you've kind of talked about today, talking about that generation, the anxious generation. We're going to talk about anxiety. We're going to talk about depression. We're going to talk about a lot of the mental illnesses that we come across, and just kind of get a good idea of how to approach it and what to do. We're not the ones to diagnose. You don't diagnose, well, unless you all professionals. I know some professionals out there. But it's just to help you know what to do and how to refer, or what to do until help can arrive. And so I hope some of you will at least sign up with me today for that. Okay, next. So just to give you a little bit of statistics. Over 49,000 people have died by suicide, or died by suicide in the year 2023. And that's one death every 11 minutes. Many adults think about suicide or attempt suicide. Almost 13 million seriously have thought about it. About 4 million have made a plan, and about 2 million actually attempted, actually go through the steps of the suicide, okay? So those are some national statistics, and so now I'm gonna bring it down to state statistics. In North Carolina, suicide is the second leading cause of death for our youth, ages 10 to 18, and the third leading cause of death for those ages 19 to 34. That's concerning. That's a little bit scary for me. I have nieces that's in this age range. I have nephews in this age range. It's a little concerning. More people survive suicide attempts than those who actually die, and they're often seriously injured and need medical care. About 90% of the people who do actually attempt suicide and survive, they do not go on to die by suicide, meaning they tend to, after that first attempt, the success rate is about 90%. Suicides can be prevented by recognizing signs and symptoms, learning how to help, and taking steps to provide that help to people of all ages and abilities in need. I think sometimes we hear people say things and we think, oh, what you talking about? Oh, you know. So, and I'm just going to tell you a good example is most recently, those of you that follow football, the gentleman Marshawn, and I forgot his last name, but his mom died last year. And here he is, football player, and you're thinking he's successful and he's got money. He made a touchdown and all these great things. But for him, on the inside, it was ripping him out, the grief. And I understand that grief. I've actually lost both of my parents. Just 2 years ago, I lost my sister and my father in 10 months' time, and I was the primary caregiver. So I understand how it feels to just go, ooh, you know, this is a lot, this is too much. And for him, he reached a point of, this is too much. But he gave some signs. He sent some text messages. I can't do this anymore. Goodbye. And people were trying to get in touch with him. Even the NFL had called the police to say, get to his house. There were people trying to get to him. But I wonder, before, yesterday, day before when it happened, I wonder how many people were aware before that, things he may have said, things he might have done, that would have been a sign of, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And so that's what happens in the QPR curriculum. We talk about noticing or assessing those type things. So those are our North Carolina statistics. And if you want to find out specific statistics of your county, you can actually do that by going on to the State Center of Health Statistics. I wasn't aware who was going to be here, so I didn't want to give a long list of statistics that may not have applied to the people here, but you can find that out. Okay. So just to tell you, for the QPR curriculum, here are the learning objectives for that curriculum. It is to increase awareness of the stigma and understand suicide as a public health issue. This is a public health issue. Even though we don't talk about it, it is a public health issue. And we're also going to recognize someone at risk for suicide. So we'll talk about that. What are the signs? What should we be listening for and watching for? Also, how to question, persuade, and refer someone who may be suicidal. And finally, how to assess local and national referral sources. Because there are sources out there. We know 988 is out there, and that's something that we can rapidly call, but and they can actually get help on the way to you, but there are other resources, when you start noticing things ahead of time, counseling, things of that nature. So we're going to talk about those things, not today, but in the curriculum. So next slide. So what is the whole purpose of QPR? It is not intended to be a form of counseling or treatment. That is not what we're doing with QPR. But what we are here to do is to offer hope through positive action. QPR is all about hope and offering hope and helping people to know that there is hope. Like, this doesn't have to be the end. And if we can get a person to start talking, we're one step closer to preventing that death by suicide. So now I'm going to play a short video just to give you a little bit more information about the introduction to QPR.
Research shows that the odds of surviving a heart attack in a public place are 10 times greater in regions where thousands of ordinary citizens are trained in CPR. It's called bystander rescue. When someone shows signs of experiencing cardiac arrest, the response of nearby friends, family, or coworkers is critical. The effective use of CPR doubles or triples one's chances of surviving a heart attack. Like CPR, QPR is an emergency intervention for someone experiencing a life-threatening crisis. QPR is easy to learn and easy to remember, but it takes courage to overcome our fears about reaching out to help someone who may be considering suicide. Research also shows that where QPR is widely taught, suicide attempts and deaths decrease. Just like CPR, QPR requires quick, bold, and informed action. Because suicide, like heart attacks, remains a rare event, we must train hundreds to save one, thousands to save hundreds, and millions to save thousands. There is an old Welsh saying, "No great misery goes unspoken." When we have a toothache, we tell people. We don't hide our pain. But because of the stigma and taboo around the word suicide, many people considering suicide don't speak plainly about their suffering. They fear our rejection. They fear that if they say something, we will ridicule them or make fun of them. As a result, people thinking about suicide often use indirect language. They hint at what they're thinking of doing. They send us coded messages, and they suffer in silence. Called suicide warning signs, QPR training teaches you how to recognize these warning signs, quickly decode them, and then question the person in an informed and compassionate manner to learn if they are considering suicide. Just as talking about physical pain helps diminish it, talking about suicide with someone willing and able to listen reduces psychological pain almost immediately. Trained QPR gatekeepers are merchants of hope, and hope helps prevent suicide. Millions of people have now been trained in QPR. Rigorous independent research studies support QPR as effective, and thousands of personal stories assure us that QPR is saving lives. When you use QPR, not everyone will be suicidal. Some people are simply stressed to the breaking point, but they still need help you can give. Please note that you cannot put the idea of suicide into someone's mind. People are either thinking about suicide or they're not. The fear of putting the idea of suicide into someone's head is a myth that keeps us from acting when we should do just the opposite. QPR is a universal intervention for people in pain, whether they're thinking about suicide or not. While it takes a special courage to overcome our fears, we will teach you how to ask about suicide and to offer hope through listening. Listening is the power tool that restores hope in the hopeless. We know you can do this, and we will show you how. Preventing suicide. It's what people do.
Thank you. So now you have a little bit more information about QPR and what it is. Next slide. About QPR and what it is. So what we want you to remember is when you apply QPR, when you go through that process and then you begin to apply it, you are planting seeds of hope. And that's what we want with suicide prevention. We want to plant those seeds of hope to hopefully change someone's mind about thinking that the only way out is to die by suicide. And so hope helps prevent suicide. Thank you.